So the plan today is to go to Porthcawl. Been there before, and I just wanted to try it again. Why not? One of the problems I have had after my 36-year hiatus from cycling is the fact that I used to be an ex-racer. Well, I used to be a racer. Is that I'm incredibly competitive, which I hadn't realised. And this has been to my detriment on several occasions, where I look at something and go, oh, this is a Strava segment. Let's see if we can do a personal record. And that results in me pushing too hard, wearing myself out, and struggling for the rest of the ride. So the difficult part for me is to just try and go slowly and just enjoy the ride. Not try and turn every ride into a race. It's part of being old, I suppose, not accepting your age, thinking you can still compete with the youngsters, and I guess I can't. It's awfully annoying, this barrier. So I thought I would share a couple of tips that I've found since I've been back on the bike. And the first one, as I said, try not to treat every ride like a race. Find your happy cadence. That's the point where you can just feel a little bit of resistance, so that you're putting some effort into the pedaling, but it's not really causing you any stress or fatigue. Don't worry about the speed, just ride that pace. As you get fitter, the speed will increase, but don't chase speed. Another thing which I found was quite important was to get a heart rate monitor. Because trust me, if you were as unfit as I was and you start cycling, you genuinely think you're going to die. And you really have to concentrate and say, well, what's hurting? Is it my legs, my lungs, or my heart? So having the heart rate monitor just helps you to feel you're within safe limits and not pushing yourself too hard. Another thing I found was that when I first bought a bike, I thought I was still capable of riding the Tour de France. Because in your mind you're still 21. But I wasn't. And I really had to lower my expectations significantly. And I started off 2.5 miles a day. And when I felt that that was easy enough, I pushed it to 3, and so on. Wow, this hill is steep. A lovely view of the sea. Of course, I'd love to go flying down here, but I'm not confident enough on the bike yet to know that I'd be able to stop at the bottom. I'm certainly glad I'm going down it and not up it. Unfortunately, there's no cycle path that goes from Bridgend to Porthcawl. The road is incredibly busy, which is why I come the way I do, to spend as little time as possible on the main 2 roads in and out of Porthcawl. Whilst the country is telling us how they're doing everything to make cycling safer and easier, they're certainly not doing that in Bridgend Borough. So here we are, Porthcawl. Porthcawl is a lovely little seaside town. Unfortunately, because of the caravan parks here and so on, it got a bit of a reputation as being a bit low rent. Kind of the working man's holiday destination. But really, it's very pleasant as a town. A lovely place to come and walk along the seafront. And I have to say, we visit it quite often. I also find it a bit of a shame there's no link from Ogmore to Porthcawl, because that would make a really nice ride. Wow, the wind is certainly blowing the sea. And that's one thing I would suggest: if you come to Porthcawl, bring a light jacket, because even on a hot day with that sea wind, you can start to feel a bit cool after you've been out in it for an hour or so. This is Millionaires Row. This is where all of the expensive houses are that overlook the sea. I love coming to the seaside. I think it's probably because I grew up in Johannesburg in South Africa. which is miles and miles and miles from the sea. So I think seaside's a bit of a novelty for me. Wow, this wind is strong. And that's another tip. You can't fight the elements. The wind is stronger than you are. So there's no point in trying to break any personal records when you've got a headwind. It's a lovely day for playing golf. But there is a big advantage with cycling over golf, is you don't have to book. Anytime the mood takes you, you get on your bike and go for a ride. Not that I'm down on golfists at all, I used to be one. South Wales was an industrial part of the country, mining, steel working and all of that kind of thing. And a lot of that's gone now. And a lot of the old pits have been turned into parks, and it's all quite green and pleasant. But then sticking out of the landscape is the Port Talbot Steelworks. Just as a reminder of what Wales used to be. I'm not very good at hill climbing. I never was, even in my younger days. As a racer, I was mostly track. One of the tips I will give you, if you're an old bloke like me struggling up a hill, is just remember to go slowly. Really, sounds silly. But quite often you get into a panic. You see the hill, it's long, it's steep, you think you've got to get up it, and you just push too hard. You need to go slowly, right from the bottom. I didn't buy a bike so I could sit in queues. That's the way to do it. There's days when you feel it. You just kind of feel like you can do this without putting too much effort into it. And it's really nice. And there's other days where you don't feel it. And the secret is not to push yourself too hard on the days where you don't feel it. So basically what I'm saying is, ride your pace. Don't ride what you think your pace should be. Oh, and do make sure you enjoy the downhills. You worked hard enough to get up here. You may as well have a bit of a fun on the way down. My last tip for today is buy a gravel bike. It really is so nice being able to go wherever you want.